little word for you today, a word of encouragement. I'm reading from Luke 8. I'm in verse 49. It says, "While he yet spake, there cometh one from the ruler of the synagogue's house, saying to him, Thy daughter is dead, trouble not the master." Now, this is the story of Jairus. His daughter was sick. He came to Jesus and said, "Could you heal my daughter?" And Jesus said, she was ready to go with him. But then somebody came and interrupted and said, "It's too late. Don't trouble the master. Don't trouble Jesus anymore. She's dead." But when Jesus heard it, he answered him, saying, "Fear not, believe only, and she shall be made whole." He answered him. Him is Jairus. You say, well, Jairus didn't say anything, but Jesus knows our thoughts. Before he could say something negative, something of unbelief, Jesus stopped them and said, "Listen, don't feed into that thought. Don't verbalize what you're thinking right now. You may have gotten bad news. You see it as bad news, but I'm here." And he's saying, believe only, or only believe. And sometimes we need to shut out unbelief many times before we even say anything. We need to stop our thought right there and just say, you know what? I don't receive this in Jesus' name. You hear a bad word, you hear that people are losing their jobs, and right away your thought is, I'm next. Oh no, I'm going to lose my job. No, before you can verbalize anything, Jesus is saying, only believe, only trust God, just believe. So then he says, "Fear not, believe only, and she shall be made whole." And when he came into the house, he went and he says, "I suffered no man go in." In other words, he didn't want anybody else in there but Peter, James, and John. You got to get some people around you that are of faith, people of faith. Jesus brought those three in. Out of all the disciples, he brought the three out of the 12 and said, "Come on in with me." He needed some faith with him, some believers, some people there to believe, maybe to console and build the faith and encourage the parents. I don't know, but he didn't want any unbelief, because when we read on, it says, and all, verse 52, and all wept and bewailed her. But he said, "Weep not, she is not dead, but sleepeth." But she's not dead, but she's asleep. 53 says, they laughed him to scorn. Who's they? Well, what happened was there were some people that were hired. Usually they were hired on to come in and cry. Maybe some townspeople come around and they'd go from funeral to funeral, basically, or sick home to sick home. And they were hired on to just cry and mourn. And, at that time, you don't need somebody rubbing your back and so on and saying, it's going to be all right and all that stuff. You need faith. You need word. You need to grow. You need to trust God in that situation. You don't want to hear, I'm sure the parents didn't want to hear she's dead. The parents didn't want to hear, oh, she was such a little good girl. We remember when. No, that doesn't help. That's just memories. No, they wanted to hear and they needed to hear faith arise. So listen to this. Listen how Jesus answers unbelief. It says they laughed him to scorn. This is how Jesus answers mockery. This is how Jesus responds to unbelief and mockery and the world, and many times even some Christians' unbelief. Okay? So this is how he answers. In verse 54, what did he do? He put them out. He didn't ask them to leave nicely. He didn't say, hey, would you guys kind of tone it down, the laughing, let's. No, get out. He put them out. He says, and he put them all out. Everybody out. And took the girl by the hand and called, saying, Maid, arise. And verse 55 says, and her spirit came again, and she rose straightway, and he commanded to give her some meat, give her something to eat. Now, this is the key. Listen, she was dead. Listen, you might have something that seems like it's dead and gone. Some prayer request that's not been answered. Some breakthrough that you have not seen any glimmer of hope. But in God's eyes, he's saying, don't say the obvious. Don't speak she's dead, because it said her spirit came back into her. So it already had gone. Her spirit had left her body, so she was physically dead. But Jesus said, I'll make her rise up again. So listen, nothing is ever dead and gone and finished in God's eyes. So hope this blessed you. Stay in faith and get rid of unbelief. Get around people that are in like faith with you. God bless you. See you next time on 5 Minute Faith. Bye bye.